Welcome everyone. This is Rahul Reddy. I head Career Launcher Bangalore Center, and I have with me Sanchit. Sanchit is this year's Karnataka State rank 1, and of course All India rank 10. Is that right? I got the
Yes,
numbers
sir.
right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
good. So I think let's start with the obvious question. When did you check the results, and how did you feel?
So I checked the results after ALIT on the way on the drive back from the center because I didn't
Okay,
want to mess up my
okay,
mind before ALIT, and I
wonderful.
felt really happy. Um, I was sort of expecting a good rank because of the score of the provisional answer key. I was expecting a good rank, so it wasn't that surprising, but I was really happy uh, with uh, with my performance. Yeah.
Of course, as we know that we can never be very sure with the kind of errors and the debatable questions that happened and what kind of changes to expect. It was, in that sense, a very stressful time talking to people. Right. Good. And then what was the response from parents and friends and other well-wishers?
Yeah, so my parents are extremely happy. My friends also are really happy because they constantly asked me to come out with them, and I kept saying no because I had to prepare. So my friends are really happy. My parents are really happy to see the work I put in pay off during the process. Yeah.
Okay. So now let's kind of go back a little bit. When did you first get the idea that you want to consider pursuing law as a career?
So honestly, it's always been my only thing. I honestly got intrigued by law because of my grandfather. I heard stories from my relatives, my parents about my grandfather, and so that sort of put an idea of law into my head. And then I started researching a little bit, and I started liking it. So from the ninth grade onwards, I'd say like I always wanted to do law, only law. And then I saw CL, and then through the classes also the liking of law sort of kept building because I kept liking the structure of the teaching and everything. And I honestly really liked it started from that.
Right. So you took up the 2-year training program at Career Launcher Malleshwaram, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. I think this is, I wanted to make that clear because there are a lot of, misperceptions that it's an easy exam and it doesn't deserve such a long standing preparation. You can do it shorter. And given that exam is now preponed to December, starting in 12th may not, it can work, but it's not advisable. If at least,
Yes.
especially if you know that law is what you want to do, you should start from 11th itself. And that's typically what we've been saying. Right. Right. So can we run through your experience from the time you started preparing at the Malleshwaram Center? What's been the experience like? What are the highlights and the fun stuff?
So classes were overall very engaging and very fun from the start itself, start up until the end, because I felt we all learned better when we had a little bit of fun when we engaged. So I started in around May of 2023. I was very on and off in classes, but I kept getting my doubts cleared and I kept getting my foundation very strong because I felt that if I'd gotten that strong, the whole process becomes easier. And I kept asking questions, and my foundation overall is very solid, which is what helped me do really well. And yeah, I really started seriously preparing in around April this year, and in 2024, and from then on, yeah, I was attending classes regularly, almost every week, and getting my doubts cleared, getting everything solid, and writing mocks every week and analyzing.
Right. I think this both of these things I get to hear from the center managers at Malleshwaram that you've been very regular, at least in the recent in the last few times. Hardly missed any class. I don't think you've missed any mock, at least that they can remember of.
No, I've
So
not missed mock.
So that's another thing that people should realize, that there's a very strong correlation between successful students in this exam and the number of marks they've written and the seriousness with which they've taken the marks. Because another thing that probably is that you have taken marks at the center, not
Yeah,
try to take it online and all that, unless
most mocks. Yeah.
unless it's unavoidable, then it's of course okay. But to the extent possible, it makes sense to do the marks. And the mocks taken at a centralized venue, does that help?
Yes, 100%, 100%. It's sort of the first few mocks that I wrote in the centralized venue in St. Joseph's, I did extremely badly because I let the pressure get to me.
Okay.
Lot of the mock, yeah, and it is very different from the mocks that I wrote even at the center because there were so many people. It is very CLAT like with the way the invigilators came and they asked us to sign. It was almost a replica of the CLAT exam. So I think that really helped me with in the in on the examination day. I was very calm because I knew that I'd already faced this before, faced this very similar situation. So I with a lot of people around me also. So the big center uh, mocks were really helpful.
Right. And the other aspect that sometimes comes out is that learning, especially in offline centers like Malleshwaram Center, is a social thing that you're not alone, and it's not between you and the exam, but there are a group of people, some of them very dedicated and equally talented, who kind of work together. So was that your experience? You had a group of people who compete, cooperate, challenge each other?
Yeah, I mainly did it with a friend of mine, Vaishnav.
Mm,
Both of
mm,
us cooperated on everything,
mm,
except for maybe GK, but the rest of the things we did together. We did a lot
mm.
of revision together. We did a lot of analysis and mocks together.
Right.
So both of us, yeah, and I found him through the center itself. So it was a very, and also the rest of the students also within our batch, everybody is very supportive and everybody tried to grow together every session. That was really helpful.
Now, when we give a lot of mocks, like, once a week and then later twice a week, there are obviously times when it doesn't go too well, like you said during the first Joseph mock. How would you react to a scenario, or how should a student react when a particular mock doesn't go well, or the scores go down, or a
So
disappointing kind of
honestly,
performance?
I learned this, but initially what I used to do was I used to get very angry when a mock didn't go really well, and I used to not analyze it. I used to keep it for a later date, and I used to do something else. But then later on, I realized that I had to analyze what went wrong immediately after writing the mock. And through that, I got a lot of clarity and understood that a lot of the mistakes were very silly and very simple mistakes that I probably would not have seen later on. I probably would have overcomplicated it later on. So after a bad mock, I think the best thing to do is go home and analyze it immediately. Even if your scores are bad, even if you get angry while analyzing it, just go through it and go through the process because it'll only make you better. And keeping it for a later date might just overcomplicate it, and you might start, you might, it might mess you up mentally while analyzing it also. Yeah.
Right. So a lot of it is that part of mental strength that you talked about, and resilience. So especially as you come closer to the exams, the pressure or stress keeps piling on. So what did you do to kind of keep the stress manageable?
So I honestly was very relaxed. I don't know why,
Okay.
but on the day of the exam and the previous days, I was very relaxed. But I think
Hmm.
it was the process the 2 weeks before the exam, and even before that,
Okay.
where I just kept instilling confidence in myself through writing
Hmm.
mocks, and
Hmm.
I saw that the amount of silly mistakes I was making kept reducing as I got closer, and I kept
Hmm.
relaxing myself. I
Hmm.
didn't overdo anything.
Hmm.
I kept the same sort of pattern throughout, and that really helped me. So I didn't overcomplicate it. I just kept it very simple, and that sort of kept me very calm.
Right. Now, well, when it comes to the role of parents, we have a wide spectrum. Parents who kind of leave it to the kids and say, like, look, you know how to do it, you do it, and the others who are very involved. So on that scale, how involved were your parents in your preparation?
My parents have never been involved in my studies that much because they sort of let me do it, and I prefer doing it that way. I prefer doing it myself. I don't like a lot of people getting involved. So my parents just let me do it. They just kept checking in on mock scores and seeing, giving that mental support mainly, not really looking into my preparation and everything. Just gave me mental support, and that's honestly, I think that was their role in the whole process, just supporting me throughout. Yeah.
So every year, a lot of students from Career Launcher Bangalore kind of just make that transition a few kilometers away to NLS. So you were in touch with some of them, and did they give some
Yeah.
inputs on how it worked?
So there was a senior from my school,
Mm,
Nipun, who I was in touch with, and also a mentor I met through the toppers meet that was
mm,
held in Joseph's. I was in touch with two people from and who were in NLS. So I was in touch with them constantly, and I really thank them for the guidance they provided me through bad mocks and through the overall process. They were really supportive, and yeah, I yeah thank them a lot, and they were integral part of the journey.
wonderful. So, uh, in the end, they would be. Hopefully, this video will be watched by a lot of students who are giving CLAT next year and the year after that. So, what simple tips can you give to them?
Keep it very, very simple. Keep prep very simple. Don't do too much because once you do too much, you get very, very confused. Keep limit your GK to maybe three sources, two, three sources. The mantans are really good. We had news canvas that was also really good. And keep asking questions. The one thing I think I made a mistake in, which if I had gone back, I could have corrected it, was if I had a doubt, I'd try to figure it out myself. And once I figured it out, I would not ask the teachers how what they thought was the right way to do it, because the way I got to an answer might not be the right answer. So I would say take guidance, even if you get the right answer, take guidance from your teacher as to or your mentors as to how you got the right answer, because getting the right answer is not important. It's how you got to that right answer that's important. And yeah, just trust in yourself throughout. Keep yourself very calm to the process, because if you get stressed out at any stage during the process, you get too stressed out at any stage during the process, your preparation might falter. So just keep it very
So,
simple. Stay very calm and trust your mentors and trust yourself.
and the teachers, were they responsive, and was a
Yeah,
lot of
100%.
discussion, interactive, very interactive classes where you can ask
Very
questions and
interactive classes. And at any time I messaged, especially Sridhar sir, I messaged him very late in the night and he would still reply. And he would reply very fast. Even if there were seemingly silly doubts, he would still reply with a long explanation. And he would call me to centers if I had any if it was like long doubts. And yeah, sessions in class are very interactive. And how that helps is, even if you think you didn't have a doubt, somebody else might have the same similar doubt you have that you don't know,
right.
and that gets cleared up. So yeah, classroom's very interactive and the teachers very supportive.
So, a part of the preparation that comes closer to the end of the exams is the strategy part. How to manage those 120 minutes, optimize, what are the tips and tricks that we can do. So, is that something that you were able to get from Career Launcher in terms of
Yes, sir.
how to manage the
I
time?
in the Joseph's the big, because a lot of teachers we see uh, we see only in the weekends, but in the Josephs, and they're reachable, but face to face is always better. In the Joseph
Right.
Center, I remember talking to a lot of the teachers at the same spot and getting a lot of inputs, especially strategy and everything, and getting everything cleared up before the exam, well in advance. I think 1.5 months I was completely cleared up with my strategy, the I gave, time I gave to each section, and that was constantly reinforced also through the mocks I wrote. And yeah.
Great. So I think that's wonderful. I'm assuming that NLS is exactly where you will be,
Yes,
and
sir.
no
Yes,
doubts. Whatever might happen with IELTS, I don't think you will look beyond NLS. So great.
yes, sir.
And as usual, we will have a nice, solid bunch of people from Career Launcher Bangalore who will join together to
Yes, sir.
NLS. And of course, very soon we'll catch up physically instead of this particular meeting, and as usual, have a large achievers party where we'll bring in everyone together, right? So looking forward to that, right?
Yes, sir.
So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.